Welcome to the DIY Lowell Open House presentation. We recorded this video so we can share information on our organization, what we've done in the last year, and what we're planning for this year. Brian Mead, the Advisory Committee Co-Chair, will start us off. Thanks, Brian.
It's going to go over kind of the origin story of DIY Lowell. It started in 2014 with an idea to combine urban planning and community organizing. So they workshop community vote idea with 40 plus community leaders, worked with neighborhood groups and nonprofits to refine the process. In 2015, got a fiscal agent and started our first community idea process. So our goals of DIY Lowell is to, one, build lasting, exciting civic improvements, build civic engagement skills, and build diverse community. Next slide, please. Okay. How do we meet that mission? So community idea process. So it's a four-step process to gather ideas and form volunteer teams to make them happen. The Young Idea Project, which is guided workshops with young people, empowering them to make their own ideas reality in teams. And then special projects, which DIY staff and volunteers facilitate or partner on special larger projects and events. So I'm sure you guys know about a lot of those projects we've had success with. And in the 4 years, we've had over 200 community ideas have been submitted that have inspired 120 people to volunteer and learn new skills. It's made 15 projects and events happen, drawing more than 2,500 participants, and over $49,000 has been invested. Pretty amazing. So next slide just has some quotes, asking Lowellians to describe us in an anonymous survey. And, I'm not going to read those out to you, but, there's a pretty nice quotes that some people gave about the organization. So thank you.
Okay, and this next section is me to talk a little bit about what the last year has been like for us. So at the start of the pandemic, it seemed like we really were just going to kind of have to go on hiatus because almost everything we do was going to be really difficult. We are all about getting people together in community, in public spaces, and that felt really impossible. But we actually were able to have a lot of projects happen this year. It's kind of a different year. We didn't follow our normal process, but it was really an interesting year. One project was right in the middle of its process, and I thought for sure it was just going to be killed dead by not being able to meet together. And that was the Ghost Signs Alive project. And surprisingly, the team really was able to meet on Zoom. And some new people joined the project on Zoom only. So that was a really interesting lesson in that maybe we should do some of what we do virtually, or maybe we should consider that option at least. So this project, as you can see, was all about projecting these at these historic ghost signs. So you can see the Eyerloft sign. We projected a lit up version of what the sign used to look like. And then Tori, who's here in this picture, also made this really cool videos featuring other historic ads for their products. And it was a really fun project where we all got to learn a lot of history. We learned a lot about technology as well, trying to figure out how to do a projection that was going to be able to turn on automatically and be outdoors for a month. Was a really exciting challenge. We should thank Gallagher and Kavanaugh, who were extremely generous with their space and time, and without whom the project could not have happened. I really am so excited with how that project came together, and I think the group had a really good time too. I think it actually turned out to be kind of a project that worked in the pandemic because we didn't gather people together at any one time. People were kind of able to see this light up effect on their own time instead of at one moment together. We also did this really cool cross promotion where we made some new version of the cherry pectoral. We made it as a soap, and that was really fun. So we did a lot of cool fundraising for the project. It was really just I think a really good DIY Lowell project, and a group that I think had a great time working together. And they've been able to do to continue afterwards together, and they were able to do the Lawrence Mills in July as well. Yeah, in I think the end of June. Yeah, thank you, Chris. And another thing we had been planning on doing pre-pandemic, and we felt like really was just going to not happen at all. We had this cool idea for a cafe crawl, sort of like a bar crawl, but based around our local businesses, and not all in one day over the course of a long period of time. That again felt like it wasn't going to work in the pandemic, but as it evolved, it felt like actually supporting local businesses was going to be really important. So in the fall, we were able to do this version of it where people for a donation got this like special card that you can see here. We partnered with all these businesses to have like some kind of special deal that would get people in the door. And then if you got enough punches on your punch card, you're able to enter a raffle. And it was a really good opportunity to work with these local businesses and to try to encourage people to safely get out and about, spend some of that stimulus money supporting our local businesses. And I think people had a really good time. Young Ideas Project is something that we really want to be doing that has evolved over the last couple of years. We're finding that youth groups are interested in hosting us, and that young people have a lot of fantastic ideas and really enjoy learning about how to make them happen. So this year, with the help of Alexis, we were able to work with the Boys and Girls Club, and they had this cool idea about flower bombing. We worked with them a little bit to make that, yes, to make that not quite as guerrilla as it sometimes is, but to be a little bit more, we worked with them to make sure they got permission to plant. We worked with them to help them reach out to Parks and Conservation Trust, who spoke with the group about local flora and fauna. And I think the youth really enjoyed learning more about that. And I think it was a really great partnership that, yeah, really met a lot of our different goals, and it's just really fun to work with youth. I think it's really energizing for us. And probably the project that took up the most time this year, and the one that was really the most, the biggest reach for us, is the Visualize Lowell's Black History Project, which so Martha mentioned working on a Underground Railroad history trail. So we had this project that had been sort of that had done a year of working towards getting some plaques up. So we had all this research, we had a lot of like energy and enthusiasm, and there was a grant available that was focused on bringing people to downtown safely during the pandemic. We thought it was a good opportunity to do two things we care about a lot at once, which is supporting our local public spaces and bringing in this history. So this is a huge project for us. Would not have been possible without a partnership with the Free Soil Collective, which was fantastic. Krista was so fun to work with. We had such a good time. And together we were able to, this project has many parts, so Chris, interrupt me if I'm missing one. We put up an information kiosk where people can post bulletins of information, including, we have some information up there about getting vaccinated, COVID safety. We put up history trail signs that have stories of Lowell's Black history. We put up business signs showing what businesses are open and directing people on the walk towards those local businesses. We put up a giant information kiosk that has a huge map of downtown showing where businesses are open. We put up art banners along Middlesex Street, so definitely go check those out. We are in the process of working with youth groups to decorate art cubes also along Middlesex Street. And together with Free Soil, we did this really cool, she really did this really cool Juneteenth event where where actors brought to life stories from Lowell's Black history. So getting the theater in there, we were able to, that was really well timed for sort of the pandemic winding down a little bit so that we could start to meet outdoors together again. And I really think that was a fantastic project, and it allowed us to do a lot of really cool things and to work with a lot of really great people.
All right, so I am going to be talking about what is next for DIY Lowell and our upcoming plans for this year. And so that is going to start with our Centerville Riverwalk project. We have spent a bit of time working on this project to make the path more welcoming, more accessible, and generally feel safer for the community. And so right now we do have some concepts for what the park could be. We will be hosting a community forum so that we can get feedback from the community members who live, work, hang out in Centerville. And that will be hosted in August. So be on the lookout for an invitation to that. We are also in the process of collecting ideas. So you can submit ideas right now on the website, DIYLowell.org. We have our idea submission form is available on there. And we will be hosting some idea boxes like we have in years past at community locations. And so that is right now, we are still looking for some more places, but you can check out Nabana Cafe next week, as well as Community Teamwork. We will have idea boxes starting in both of those locations, and we'll be identifying some more. And there are going to be a lot of tabling events that you will see me at this summer. So if you see me, please come over, say hi, submit an idea, have a conversation. I would love to get to meet you in person and just get to know my fellow community members. We are, so in late September, early October, we are going to be posting a monument, well, installing a monument, I guess would be the better term, for commemorating the Underground Railroad locations in Lowell as part of the Visualize Lowell's Black History project. So that is going to be something we're working on. We are, I'm pretty sure, still raising funding for that. And we will be having this is changing a lot. Okay, thank you. So we will be putting into action our open spaces, open art spaces project, which was a Young Ideas project. More ghost sign projections to be anticipated. And then of course, we are gonna be having our idea summit. And we're going to be having a wild card idea that we will be choosing at the summit. We will have the vote. It will be community-wide. Everyone is welcome to attend. And anyone who pledges to help in a project over the next year is eligible to cast a vote and have their voice be heard in how our community is changing over the next year. So this is going to be our idea summit. We typically hosted it a little bit earlier in the year, in years past, but we decided to do mid to late October, date to be declared once we have a secured venue. And we will be looking forward to getting all of the community together again. We have spent far too long cooped up in our houses and not getting a chance to interact with our community members. So I am really looking forward to getting to hear all of these ideas, have the community vote on them, give feedback, and collaborate to just build a better community for everyone. And then October through 2022, it is going to be make it happen time. All of those projects that we'll be selecting at the Idea Summit are going to be enacted through 2022. And because of how beautiful the concept of this organization is, we don't know what those projects are going to be. If they're projects, events, it could be anything. And we get to live through the excitement of choosing those and watching them grow in our city. In spring of 2022, there is going to be the centennial commemorating Jack Kerouac. We have applied for a grant to be able to do some projects within Kerouac, within the scope of commemorating Kerouac. We have not, unfortunately, heard back about that yet. We were hoping we would be able to announce it and have that information for you tonight, but unfortunately we do not. We have some really cool project ideas for pop-up spaces within the city. So again, sticking along with DIY Lowell and using that placemaking to give the city members something to just go and have fun while also learning about Kerouac and his legacy in Lowell. So continuing through fall and spring of 2022, we will be working with community organizations who are youth serving to be able to continue the Young Ideas Project. This has been a really great project for us to get a perspective that is generally underheard. Youth tend to be written off, but they have a lot of great ideas and they have a lot of great skills to be able to make these projects happen. I just got to watch a group of young leaders at the Boys and Girls Club plan a project from the ground up and enact half of it yesterday and plant beautiful flowers outside of the Boys and Girls Club along Middlesex Street. And it was amazing to watch. So we will have more Young Ideas projects happening throughout the next year. And you can keep an eye on social media, Instagram and Facebook for all of those updates so that you can see the hard work of these young leaders.
Hey, thanks, Alexis. I guess this one's mine. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so this is kind of the last piece, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A. But we wanted to touch base on well, the strategic plan and what the board does, what the advisory committee does, and so kind of starting out with that strategic plan. In 2018 to 2019, the board, including a lot of the people on this call, developed a strategic plan for DIY Lowell. And a lot of it was based in, we had at that point 3 successful, let's see, idea summits under our belt. And we were like, what's next? Okay, this experiment seems to have actually worked against all odds. And we've got great projects that are happening because of people without any formal training, and they feel more empowered and they feel more connected to community. And we thought that was all great, and we didn't want to let it die. So how do we make it more sustainable? We created 4 major goals, and those are the goals that the committee is working on right now. So first of all, enhancing the diversity of DIY Lowell participants. And I don't just mean in like race and ethnicity, although that's very important, but also in age, in socioeconomic background, in gender identity, in neighborhoods. So really making sure that DIY Lowell reflects Lowell. Second is to enhance DIY Lowell sustainability, ensuring that it is not dependent on any one person or volunteer. Basically, we've got a couple of leaders in DIY Lowell, but if they got hit by a bus, if we got hit by a bus, or you had to step down for any reason, we don't want DIY Lowell to die. So we're trying to find a way to make it a great part of Lowell, or maybe even the whole Merrimack Valley, in terms of moving forward. A large part of that is identifying a business model with diverse and dependable mix of funding sources. And then finally, we want to make sure to track our successes and failures in a really systematic way, in order to fine tune and codify the DIY Lowell model. So that means surveying people, but that also means looking at other ways to see if we're being successful or how we can do better. So we've got a set of actions that we're undertaking. Some of those are done. We created bylaws. We hired a program director, Alexis. We've created diversity targets, and we've, as you've seen, implemented the Young Ideas Project. But we have a few other goals. We are 3 or 4 people short of a full advisory committee. The committee is a 13-member board that meets. We meet every month, sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the evening, kind of switching off month to month, every other month. And people are either morning members or evening members, but we're trying to fill up that 13-member committee and make sure that, again, it reflects Lowell, both in all sorts of skill sets and all sorts of backgrounds. We need to refresh our outreach database, developing and implementing a fundraising program. Another one that we really want to do is undertake focus groups with diverse populations. So really understanding how DIY Lowell is received by all sorts of different people and what we can do to reach people and reflect the creative spirit of everybody in Lowell. We really are working on making a better marketing program. I have to admit that probably half the people I talk to think that we are Lowell Makes. And I'll be like, oh no, we love working with Lowell Makes, but actually we're about community projects, not building our own projects, which might include building, but it might also include getting a projector and projecting on a wall. So really getting more people to understand what we do and why we do it, and come and join. We've talked about wanting to go to the E4All Accelerator program. And finally, we've got amazing facilitators, and we really want to get a recurring facilitator team that will help people who have never done projects before understand that they can do it too, whether that's the young people in Young Ideas or the old fogies like us. I think, just explaining the committee. Sorry, I'm taking this slide as well. The committee, they set priorities and goals for DIY Lowell. They develop and implement the fundraising programs. That cafe crawl was all about the committee. The committee like totally moved that forward. We had an awesome Give Us 5 campaign that the committee moved forward. Evaluate our progress on the strategic plan. Those 4 points, are we meeting those goals? That's the committee's job, to make sure that we're doing that. Every year, the committee reviews all of the projects ideas that are suggested to make sure that they are compliant with our values and guidelines.
Not get mad.
No, I stopped it, but it was just weird because he like lifts it up. It's like
I think somebody's okay. Finally, we're almost done. We're almost done. They evaluate and hire executive staff, in which case this is our only staff member, Alexis. But if she ever steps down and we have additional staff, dog drama, that is okay, Jordan. They also get to have a really fun role because they choose every year the Volunteer of the Year and the Community Transformation Award winner. And Community Transformation Award goes to a group that's doing really good work in Lowell. And of course, the main thing is spreading the word about DIY Lowell, sharing the good word. And I really thank all of our committee members because they're always so good at doing that. So this final slide opens up the Q&A, but also kind of has an ask to consider joining the committee or consider partnering with us on a project or consider any other type of interaction with DIY Lowell, or consider asking your friends to do all of the things I just mentioned. And we've got some quotes from advisory committee members. It turns out that advisory committee members like to quote other people when asked for quotes. So we've got a lot of quotes of quotes, but it really meant a lot as Aurora and I read those, what we started 5 years ago and seeing that impact. But I have blathered on enough. We've all blathered on enough. And really what we wanted to do is have kind of an open conversation from here on out.